Here we are with our second video about Hooper. We're back in Colorado. It's been a long time since our last video where we gave you a tour of the hoop, and this one's going to be about the awning. We knew that we wanted to have a covered outdoor living space, whether that's cover from the rain or from the sun, and we looked into buying an awning of this size, this is about 9.5 by 7.5. And we were realizing that it was going to cost us around $600 if we were going to buy it new. So that was kind of a ridiculous cost when we were trying to build the entire build out and the vehicle for $10,000. So I started looking for do-it-yourself stuff, and we found a guy called Evil Dave on Expedition Portal who has like hysterical and awesome do-it-yourself instructionals. These are those straps that we have that go all the way around the whole awning and onto the roof rack. Take this out. This sucker rolls right out, and inside this are 2 of our 4 extendable poles. They just roll right up inside, and they're not connected to anything. So once we get all the way out, these 2 poles are in there. We just set them down. Once we got it rolled out, we got these 2 extendable poles that were inside, and we put those down. These 2 are now attached on this conduit that's attached to the roof rack, and they're on a hinge. So these guys just hinge out, and then you just extend them. Not so easy with gloves. We just extend them out to here, where we feed it through the conduit on this end. There it goes. There we go. Alright, so now we got both of them through. Extend this to make it taut. That looks pretty taut. Close it up. Now we got ourselves an awning. We got the 2 vertical poles. And you just feed it through. Come on now. There we go, there's one. Definitely easier to do with 2 people, but it can be done with 1. And 2. So there you go. It's just a typical tarp, which costs us like $10, you know, at Harbor Freight. It's 9.5 by 7.5. We chose 9.5 because the conduit, the metal conduit, comes in 10-foot pieces, so we didn't have to cut it. We made it as big as we could. So here's the metal conduit here. The way it's attached to the conduit is we just we drilled it, we screwed it into the conduit with a little washer that down on the grommet there. So on both sides, both the long sides, we have that 10-foot metal conduit. Here it is on the other side. This conduit is attached to the roof rack. And it's 3/4 inch conduit. Yeah, 1/2 inch seems a little bit flimsy, so it's 3/4 inch conduit, and that kind of allowed us actually over here, because it is rigid enough. It actually extends well past the roof rack here. So because this is rigid and it's 3/4 inch, you know, it has no problems kind of supporting itself. And again, the tarp is drilled through the grommets into the conduit on that end. And then we have on these here, the side here, this is an extendable pole. So as you can tell, this right here, you can kind of just, and now we're losing our pitch. But that's how we get the top pitch, is with these extendable poles for the sides. And then over here, the way the extendable poles connect into the conduit on this end is just kind of the top of the tent pole. We just drill the hole right through, and this just slips right through. And then these, for the height adjustment poles, these kind of the vertical stabilizer poles, these things, it's one of the same exact thing. It's just one of these guys. So you just extend it to any height that you want. It's kind of nice because I'm 6'2", and we can extend it high enough that it doesn't get in my way when I'm walking around. So a couple pro tips, things that we would have done differently had we known they would be issues. First of all, you may have noticed how torn up the tarp is, and how we just kind of have this massive Gorilla Tape patch that runs almost the whole length. The reason that that's there is because I knew that we could get a taut pitch in this direction because the poles are extendable, so you can just extend it out to make this as taut as you need it to be. What I was concerned about was in this direction, since we have the tarp is screwed in through the grommet. So what I kind of did to try to make it taut was I kind of stretched the tent, just the tarp just a little bit in between each grommet. I kind of stretched it, drilled it, stretched it, drilled it, and what ended up happening, which was a bad idea because I don't think, clearly tarps don't really operate that way. So it started kind of getting these little poles in it, and it started making these little holes. So eventually we had to patch it, and eventually we'll just get another tarp. I mean, the tarp is the cheapest part of this. I mean, it was like 10 bucks for this heavy duty tarp. So eventually we'll just, you know, take this off and put a new tarp on, because all the other pieces have been hanging in there. So there's that. And then the other thing is, once it's rolled up, we didn't really design any kind of bag or anything for it. I would probably, like, when we get another tarp, what I'll probably do out of this tarp is like make a little bag out of this tarp that will go over the whole thing, because it does get kind of beat up. The tarp gets beat up by the UV. So those are kind of two things to pay attention to that we didn't realize we would have to pay attention to.